Hello folks, welcome to a new week. Hope you're doing well, hope everything in life is going good, hope you had a good weekend. If you like what I do, or this is your first time here, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We are only 100 or so subscribers away from hitting our 15,000 subscriber target by the end of the year. So if you could help me get there, that would be amazing. Also, if you're getting any model products on the run up to Christmas, then make sure you head over to Composite Games and use the promo code down below, northernexile, to get yourself 5% off your order at checkout. That is Composite Games. It's in the description down below. Head down there. Anything you need for Christmas, they will sort you out. Because it's very, very important to keep local businesses like this going, because they're good for the community. And I'm hoping to do a tournament there next year, and I want to be in their good graces and also make sure they have a very stressful but productive Christmas. So, let's get into Hobby Nightmares, shall we? Our first one is a returning person from Friday. I love doing these whenever I get the opportunity. From London, ladies and gents, who says I can probably use his name this time because that's how he leads with his response here. So I inquired after our dear London on Friday or yesterday, just to see how he was, because on Friday it was a bit of a harrowing hobby nightmare he put forward. So he says, "Dear North, thanks for reading my email. No problem, man. I hope it wasn't too all over the place." No, it was fine. It was fine. It was a frustrating read, but it was fine. "I'm doing fine. I couldn't stop thinking about the game for a few days until I sent you the original email. Hence why it was sent at midnight." Oh yeah, that's always a danger sign. When it's at midnight or past midnight, I'm like, oh my god, this person can't sleep, and that's why they're sending me this hobby email, but you know what I mean. What made it worse was when I got home, I checked the Plague Marine rules and saw that I did roll the correct amount of attacks and was pressured into letting his Swarm Lord live. Well, again, not a lot of you will know what's going on here. Watch the episode on Friday and you will know what's going on. Essentially, I thought it was important to give Landon his time in the sun, to come back and let us know how he is. However, it has still killed a bit of passion I felt for my Death Guard after their rules change, and I think it's the worst outcome from the game. The next tournament is at the end of the month. Do you have any suggestions for what I can do about Dave? I am happy to be in the next Hobby Nightmares video. Cheers, Landon. Okay, so here's the thing. What I told you last time still holds true, alright? There will always be people in this hobby who want to talk to you like you're a piece of nothing, right? Like you're dirt. And they don't want you to enjoy the hobby. The minute you stop enjoying the hobby, my man, they win. They win. If you don't want this guy to win, number one, don't play him again. Even if it's at a tournament, go straight to the tournament organizer and tell him, look, I don't want to play this guy. Tell Dave to his face as well. Look, man, I don't want to play you. Every game I play against you is not very enjoyable because you're not very good at the game. You're just not. You're not a very good hobbyist. And again, as I said last time, he will say, well, I beat you. And you just say, that's not what I meant, dude. I don't care about winning or losing. You're a bad hobbyist. Go to the tournament organizer. Say you've had bad experiences with this player in the past and you don't want to play with him. They will sort you out another game straight away. If you say, I've had bad experiences with this player before, and I don't want to play with him again, that's fine. If they're a good TO, and most of them are, they will sort that out for you. No problem. That's what I would do. You need to curate your own hobby space. I say this to people all the time. Your hobby time is precious. It's a hobby. So curate who you do the hobby with. I just did a game this weekend with a good friend of mine where we played 1,500 points in a battle of 10th edition. And the battle went on for 4 and a bit hours. Yes. A small game. 4 and a bit hours. This game is not simplified at all. It's just as bloated and rubbish as it always was. So if you're going to play Warhammer 40,000, you best make sure the person you're standing across from for 3+ hours every single time you're there is someone you get along with. I had a saving grace there. This guy's one of my best friends. We had a good time, and it was great. But this was like an average dude who I don't really know, or even worse, if it was a guy like this Dave that you're talking about, oh my days. That's why I say picking your opponent is 9/10 of the battle in Warhammer 40,000. And London, mate, all you've got to do is pick your opponents better. Screw the tournament scene. Screw it. If it's full of people like this at your local area, then don't do it. Play casual games with other people. Go online, go on the Game Finder on our Discord, go anywhere you want, on Facebook, wherever, you will find decent games with decent people who are into the same part of the hobbies you are, alright? Okay, cool. Let me know how it goes as well. Let me know how it goes, don't be a stranger. Ben says, hey man, I've recently discovered your channel and I really like to listen to your rants and hobby nightmare stories while I paint and do other hobby stuff. I have a pair of stories that I figured I'd share, if for no other reason than I'm waiting for my paint to dry and I'm caught up on your channel and now I'm a bit bored. But there are other YouTube channels out there, Ben. You know, there's other people you can go and watch. I also apologise for the length of this email. I majored in literature, so you know I'm going to be wordy. Oh, here we go. If there's any mistakes in here, I'm going to be wagging my finger at you. Alright, cool. So, the first of my stories is pretty heavy, involving abusive relationships, gaslighting, and manipulation, all centered around my long-time involvement with the hobby, so it's relevant. Good, excellent. Yeah, on Fridays, there was a comment the other day when somebody said, oh, why is there hardly any hobby in this hobby nightmare? On a Friday, the rules are loosened a little bit. So on a Friday, you can send me anything you want and I'll probably read it out. As long as it's got some juxtaposition to the hobby in there somewhere, I'll read it out. Every other day, though, needs to be hobby relative, or I won't read it out. Before I start, I'd like to state for the record that yes, women can be the abusers in the relationship. A lot of people don't get that, and while I'm sure you will, I just want to put it out there to at least try and save your comment section as much drama as I can. Anyway, my first girlfriend was the worst kind of controlling bee. She needed to be involved in everything I did, and hated it when I tried to do anything on my own. We were together for 5 whole years, starting in our final year of high school and all the way through university. And that entire time, she resented me taking time to myself to do hobby stuff. Always nitpicking, always complaining I was ignoring her, complaining about the smell of the glue and the paint. Okay, glue, that's fair game, I guess. But the Citadel paints aside from the old foundation paints are some of the most mild smelling ones I've ever used. All that kind of crap. Okay, before I read on, I've seen, I know you'll be okay with me saying this, I've seen men and women do this. I've seen dudes be really toxic like this as well. I don't think, here's the thing, what people don't seem to get is, just because Ben's saying women can do it too, and he's been abused by women in the past, it doesn't mean he's saying all women do this. You know, I get a lot of smooth-brain comments saying, well, men do it too, just saying all women are blah, blah, blah. No, we're not saying that. Yeah, and if you listen to the video, you'll understand that we're not saying that, you know. Ben's giving us his own experience, but I'm going to balance it out and say, listen, I've seen a lot of dudes do the same thing. And normally, with dudes, it's like, you know, the girl's going out with, like, his girlfriend's going out with her sister and her friends, or she's going out with her friends to like a I don't know, like a restaurant or something, and they're getting jealous. I mean, that's not something to get jealous over. If your girlfriend's partying every weekend, that's a red flag. Yeah, without you, that's a red flag, yes. And girls, if your guy is partying all weekend without you, that's also a red flag. They're not ready to settle down yet, maybe you need to leave, move away. But anyway, I'll carry on. It ended up getting to the point where she would scream at me right in my face if I spent longer than half an hour at the painting desk instead of sitting a few inches away from her while she studied or worked on assignments. Yeah, this is a crackpot right here. On multiple occasions, she even got physical, snatching brushes out of my hand or slapping me upside the head. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell did I stay with her? Well, she was... yeah. Finally a normal bro. A normal bro writes into the channel. When you're all normal in your own way. But I'll say it anyway. You might be thinking, why the hell did I stay with her? Well, She was an astoundingly good fuck. We've all done it. I've done it. I've stayed with women a lot longer than I should have. It's the Achilles heel of the normal man, my dude. I've stayed with women in relationships a lot longer than I should have in the past. Simply because it's too good to give up. And you're just like, yep, this is great. You get addicted. I'm kidding, of course. Oh my god, don't burst my bubble. Don't burst my bubble. Well, sort of. She was a very good lay, but I was trying to lighten the mood. Truth is, I'm neurodivergent. Though I didn't know this at the time, it's not super bad, but apparently I am on the scale. You're on the spectrum, is what you mean to say. Okay. So not only did I not cope well with confrontation, it was very easy for her to convince me that I was being a neglectful asshole. And I was the one in the wrong for ignoring her. That's true. I know a lot of guys on the spectrum. For years in the hobby and being around nerdy friends for a long time, nearly all of them have been gaslit in relationships before. Nearly all of them. It's very easy to convince somebody on the autistic spectrum that they're in the wrong. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. Eventually, I just had to stop. It was all becoming too much to deal with, arguing with her over little plastic models. We did wind up separating, and I thank all the gods I can name every goddamn day for that, which was a messy affair in itself, and resulted in me dropping myself into a 30-hour Mass Effect binge that left me so dehydrated I literally had to crawl to the shower to rehydrate. Now that I had the time though, I thought I'd be able to start painting again, after my obsession with Mass Effect had faded somewhat. Still, they're good games. But when I sat down at the desk, brush in hand, I just couldn't. I was staring at my models thinking, why am I doing this again? So I packed it all away and thought this was her parting shot. And the worst thing she'd done to me, she stole the hobby I'd loved since childhood from me. Wow. Wow, man. That's... in no ironic way, that's some deep shit. That's some deep shit. Wow. Fast forward a few years and I'm working a new job, meeting friends, and I'm super in shape. I took weightlifting to replace the miniatures hobby at that time. I met a dude who had just moved back to Australia from Japan, and we had some stuff in common and ended up becoming good friends. The kind of friends that have had a regular weekly games night every week, hardly ever missing one for the last decade now. Huge shout out to that guy, by the way. I didn't know what a real friend was until I met him, even though he's been consistently kicking my ass at games for a decade now. We went through a few different games and styles of games, TCGs, living card games, board-based RPGs, all that kind of stuff. But when the Rona struck, the pandemic, I suddenly had a lot more time on my hands, and the stars all just kind of aligned. My brother dropped off a box of the then new contrast paints, because he'd thought the whole range on release, and decided he didn't like them. He bought the whole range on release, and decided he didn't like them. Wow, that's a... Jesus Christ, the whole range. My other brother, another absolute mad lad, had actually saved my old minis, both painted and unpainted, and gave them to me with a few spare brushes and paints that he also had, so that I had something to do with this newfound and government-mandated free time. I kinda dabbled a little, just sort of messing around with some old Space Marines and Eldar I'd never finished, but then I spotted something new. Blackstone Fortress. I asked my friend if he'd be willing to try the game out, even if we had to play with unpainted minis, and since we were getting a little bored of whatever LCG we were playing at the time, he said sure. So, I picked it up, and this was it. This was the hook that got me back. I started painting these minis, and immediately fell back in love. Fast forward another 5 or so years, and both he and I are going strong in the hobby. We both regularly win local painting contests, we still play every weekend, and I still consistently lose, and I'm not even mad about it. We still have so much damn fun, and I am happier than ever in the hobby. So, I have my brother, my friend, and Blackstone Fortress to thank for giving me back something that has been so important to me since I was 10 years old. And that bitch, in the end, didn't win. Just for fun, I've attached a couple of pictures. The first are some of the Eldar Rangers I painted way back at the start of 2020 when I was getting involved in the hobby painting again, and the second is one of my most recent models, an Auric from Warhammer Underworlds that's currently sitting, at time of writing, in the front of my local game store's cabinet display for all to see. Just because I'm so damn proud of how far I've come. You don't need to show them on screen or anything, I just wanted to include them. Well, you can't send me model pictures and expect me not to show them to the waiting audience. Every time I've not shown them, I've been shouted at in the comments. So, let's get into it. Where are we? Ben 1. Let's have a look at this. This is your current Auric, is it? Let's have a look-see. Oh, yeah, he's cool, man. He's cool. Is that your sister in the background? As in, sister of battle, not your actual sister. There'll be a lot of people, like, listening to this as they're making dinner going, he sent him a picture of his sister? What the fuck? No, it's literally a sister of battle in the background. Let's have a little look-see at the Eldar Rangers. Whoa, these are zoomed-in pictures. My lord. Zoomed in. Oh, I like those. For somebody coming back into the hobby after so many years, that's good. Those are good. Those are pretty good. I do like the Auric, though. That Auric's very well painted. Checkerboard style as well. Very, very, very good. Well done. Well done. Let's keep them on for the remainder of the Hobby Nightmare, shall we? Okay. Second story time, and then I'll leave you, okay? I'll try and keep this one shorter, I promise. There's a guy around the local hobby scene, and since I can't use his real name, let's call him Doug. Now, Doug is not right in the head. I mean, this is a man that is clearly mentally handicapped. Okay, fair enough. Is that still a politely correct way to say it? Yeah, I mean, you have a drawback mentally that doesn't put you on par with everybody else. You say the words neurodivergent, do you know what I mean? And I think that's what people like to say these days, because it just means you're not special. You're special. You're different. You know, you're just a bit different. That's what people have had to say for ages. You can't say special anymore because it got a negative connotation because people were using it as an insult. But no one's going to really use neurodivergence as an insult because it's lame. You know? Anyway. It's kind of how the word queer went out of use because people said, oh, that's insulting, you can't say that, and now it's coming back again, right? Like, in, like, the 90s and 2000s, everybody would say it, you know what I mean? But it was seen as an insult, you know, you're not really meant to say that. Especially where I live, anyway. Where I live, you're not meant to say that. You weren't meant to say that. But nowadays, people describe themselves as queer, you know? So it's kind of gone full circle. It loses its meaning after a while, and comes full circle. Anyway. But it doesn't matter, you can say what you want here, it's fine. And he should really have round-the-clock supervision for his own sake. Now, I'm not writing this story to dunk on poor Doug. He can't help that he's not all there. That's not his fault. But the meetings my circle and I have had with him over the years have been just amusingly cringeworthy. The first time I met Doug was at my friendly local game store, where my previously mentioned mate and I were playing something, I don't remember. I do remember I was losing, though, as per usual, and we were just having a blast hanging out. The store was deserted at the time, and we were off at one of the tables doing our own thing, when Doug walked over. He leaned right over me, and just reeked. Bad stereotype, I know, but he was clearly not cleaning himself, at least not properly. Remember to use deodorant and wash your arses, fellow gamers. Yeah. I've got a mate of mine who is has got a very deep voice and he's very funny. He's from down south, and he's just this big beardy bloke, right? And I went out with a few mates from the game society at university, and after a few pints, like the filter comes off of my friend's mouth. You know what I mean? So we're all standing at the bar, and this lad comes in from the game society, and clearly he's not very good with self-hygiene, right? He's not very good. And he kind of smells like shit, right? Right. So my friend starts talking to this bloke, and he's like, yeah, and he's being friendly with him, like, leans in, all right, mate, yeah. And they're talking about the hobby or computing or something. And he goes, anyway, mate, yeah, nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, wipe your ass properly. Like in the middle of the bar, just stops him and goes, right, all right, mate, yeah, I'll see you later. Oh, by the way, yeah, wipe your ass properly, you dirty bastard. Right, see you later. Right, see you later. Yeah, wipe your ass. I just like coughed into my beer. I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I know it's wrong that you shouldn't like call people out like that, but he wasn't doing it in like a nasty way. It was literally a piece of advice from one bloke to another, but he just said it in such a way that I was just like, that is so off the cuff and really funny. So anyway. Remember to use deodorant and wash your asses. Yes, fellow gamers. He then proceeded to sit down uncomfortably close to me, a total stranger in a totally empty store, and started alternately rolling up a D&D character and very messily eating a sandwich. It was only at this point, some 10 minutes into the story, that he decided to introduce himself and held out his hand for us to shake. I can't think of a way to make this funnier, so I'll just say that his hand was covered in a thick layer of mayonnaise from his sandwich. Yeah, I don't want to retch. There's something I hate about greasy hands. I've just got this weird perversion. If you're eating crisps, like chips to those of you in America, and you try and touch me, I'm slapping you in the face. If you're eating wings or anything greasy at a table, one, I'm not going to look at you because it's disgusting, and two, don't touch me. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that comes from in my mental, because nobody else in my family has this problem. Grease, I have to wash it off immediately. Whenever I get grease on my hands, on my face, on my wherever it is, I've got to get it off. I've got to wash it clean. I've got this obscene aversion to grease and dirtiness, like real dirty. Don't touch me. Get away. It's disgusting. I've tanked a few dates doing that. You know, when a woman's had like wings or something, and she's like, "Oh my god," and goes like, put her arm around me, and like, "Get your fucking hands off me. Get your fucking hands off me. Get over there. Go and wash your hands, and then come back, and we'll do everything. No problem. But like, don't be touching me." Anyway, I waved him off distractedly because it was my turn and I was still losing, so I was trying to strategize. So he held out his hand to my mate. My mate, who had been a teacher in Japan and is a lot more diplomatic than I am, and told him, "I'll shake your hand if you wash it first, dude." Doug just shrugged and went back to his character sheet, and my mate and I left soon afterwards. Thus, the legend of the Mayo Hand was born. We saw Doug around from time to time after that, but for various reasons, he had been banned from both the friendly local game store and Games Workshop, so sightings dropped for a while. Then, Games Workshop managers changed. The old one had been a bit of a twat, and the new lady was an absolute gem of a manager, and much rejoicing from the local scene was had. And Doug got back in, and nothing had changed. In one instance, he sidled up to me whilst I was eyeballing the new Rohan Battle Host box, and asked me if I liked Lord of the Rings. I chuckled, thinking, "Oh, you sweet summer child," because I'm a massive Tolkien buff and I love the lore. But he leaned in and started babbling about how he loved the movies and he's watched them all, and this is fine. No problem. The movies are great, and people can't get through the books, let alone the Silmarillion. The problem was, Doug still stank, and I had to get out of there before I retched. I did not buy the Battle Host that day. Another time I went back to the local GW again to pick up some paint, and Doug was there painting. He proceeded to shout Dawn of War quotes at me whilst I got my paints and then just left. I love Dawn of War as much as the next guy, but like, come on, not in public, dude. Then the bombshell. My brother is good friends with one of the part-timers at Games Workshop and likes to go in to paint so they can hang out. Doug was there one day and decided to sit down uncomfortably close next to my brother. He then rants at my brother about how cool Space Marines are and how weak every other faction is. Blah 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 blah. Then, Doug goes quiet for a moment, before telling my brother that, and I quote, "He doesn't do what the voices in his head tell him to," unquote, and his dad thinks he's schizophrenic. But he won't go to a doctor because he doesn't like them. But my brother doesn't have to worry, because he knows that the voices are just ghosts. At this point, my brother just packed up his shit and left. This was the most recent Doug sighting. I believe he's been banned from the store again for shitting himself because he didn't want to stop painting. And look, I'm not trying to shit on the poor bastard. Very, very funny. He's clearly unwell. But when a man holds out a mayonnaise-coated hand to you, you just gotta laugh, because the alternative is just getting depressed. So, those are my stories. I hope you can use them for a video in the future. I did so. Or that you can at least get a little entertainment out of reading them. Thanks again for doing what you do, and I look forward to your future content. Ben. Cheers, Ben. Thank you very much. Very well written, by the way. Very lovely, well written story there. Fantastic stuff. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that guy, with Doug. You don't need to feel bad, okay? Because you're not his carer. The people who are responsible for Doug should be ashamed of themselves. Those are the people. The government that's supposed to make sure that Doug has a carer with him at all times should be ashamed of themselves. The doctors who have let him walk around and embarrass himself and ruin the good times of other people should be ashamed of themselves. His parents, his carers, his siblings, his relatives who should be looking after him and making sure that everything that is done around him is in his best interests should be ashamed of themselves. You have nothing to be ashamed of yourself over, alright? I know you tried to cast a bit of guilt on yourself there. Don't. Not your responsibility. Don't make things your fault that aren't. Don't persecute yourself. You never know what people are doing behind some of these stories, you know? And I know, Ben, you're laughing it off, but I can see the guilt there, man. Don't do it. You're fine, alright? Cool. Alice Under the Gun says... Alice Under the Gun? Wasn't that a song, Under the Gun? Let me have a little look here. I swear that was a song. Oh, there's loads of them. Okay, never mind. Hey, most northern of exiles. Hello. My name's Alice, and I wanted to share something about a 40k campaign I was a part of for years at our local store. I've seen similar stories on here, but none quite like this. I've been in the hobby for about 10 years, since I was about 14 or 15, and I've loved every moment of it. I was drawn in by the amount of fun my brothers were having in the hobby, and eventually, when they left, I carried on, and I've never looked back. I am actually on YouTube myself, and it's my main source of income these days. I do painting tutorials and unique challenges, and sometimes I do cosplay on Instagram, but I'm not one of those hobby girls. Okay. Anyway, back to it. My local Games Workshop was managed and looked after by a guy called Alan. An awesome dude, all round, and Alan would let us run our tournaments and campaigns from his store, which was pretty great considering most other Games Workshop stores stopped allowing games period a while ago. Eventually, like all good managers, Alan was poached by another company entirely, and he warned us about the next person to manage the store might not take too kindly to our playing of games in the store. The first time the new manager, James, got to the store, all was actually alright. He came across as a bit of an arrogant so-and-so, but that comes with the territory of being de facto king of the nerds if you run a Games Workshop store, I guess. Our group asked him if we could run our campaign in the store, basically continuing what we had already been doing. And he said probably no, as his policy was that the only small games in the store could be played. When we offered to keep all campaign stuff in the store to his own minimum specs, and just to use the store to play the games, and that we would keep them below the allowed limit and on 4x4 tables, we would even book in our time like he requested. The group noted that when I proposed this compromise, he accepted readily. Nothing wrong with that, but it was noted by everybody. Later on that day, James would head over to me and ask, "Hey, this is going to sound weird," he said. Alrighty, shoot, I replied. Do you sing a lot?" he asked. Yeah, actually, that's my job," I laughed. At the time, it was. I used to dance and I used to sing as part of my job. Okay. He said, "Are you in a band called Spirit Box?" No, I said, but I do get that a lot. I'm a studio singer and dancer," I replied. He seemed honestly alright with that, and we got on with the day. Okay, that's fine. Why did he think you were in a band? Do you look like somebody who's in a band? Oh, maybe you do. I don't know. Never heard of Spirit Box. Sorry. As the weeks would go on, though, every time the campaign bros were in the store, James would fixate almost all of his interactions on me as if I were the leader of the group, which I definitely was not. Eventually, he would try to move things into small talk to find out more about me, and I kind of know what he was getting at. So I pulled back and I was like, listen, I wouldn't mind talking, but right now I'm rolling dice, you know what I mean? I thought I was a little overly harsh, but as James moved away, Mark, the guy I was playing against at the time, just chuckled and said, "Oh no, you've left the door ajar there." "What?" I asked. Mark said, "You basically told him to ask you out and to take you somewhere else to talk to you." My heart sank a little bit. I will be honest, I think men and women resent each other for different things. You guys resent us for being able to get laid really easily, and we resent you for being able to do whatever you want without it being seen as a come on, quote unquote, or relating to dating or sex. It's a vicious circle, I guess. I'll be honest, the only thing I find a real turn-off is someone being underhanded about liking me, sneaking under the radar by trying to be my friend and then dumping a load of escalations on me. If you show that you like me straight away, you've got way more of a chance. The only thing worse than that is a guy who calls other guys misogynists and things like that. It's a real red flag for a creeper who will say anything to try and get in your pants. I'd trust a guy a lot more if he came over, told me he liked the cut of my jib, and asked me out for a coffee. Hell, I will be honest here, I guess. If you don't look like Gollum, don't smell like BO, and smile as you ask, I'll almost always say yes to a coffee in public. Why the hell not? I mean, you never know. You could be an awesome guy that I'm letting go over the radar. And I'm in public, so what's going to happen? I'd almost always say no to a guy who asked me to go for a drink first, though, unless we were on a night out with friends. Just something to remember, guys. A lot of girls think that way. I can trust a guy who is upfront about his intentions. Someone pretending to be my ally and like the things I like is sinister at best. Anyway, James gave off the male traitor energy that my friend Mark talks about and was acting like he wanted to be my friend with an ulterior motive. In short, he gave me the fucking creeps. Jesus Christ. I wish I could put it better than that, but I can't. I know a lot of guys who've been down this road, and nearly all of them end up angry and alone. And they will shout at other men for being like, you know, "Oh my god, you're so disrespectful to women." And it's like, yeah, but I'm with a woman. Are you with a woman? No? Well, there. there's the dichotomy there, okay? You can go over there and be on your own. Enjoy. I'll be over here with this woman that I'm seeing, alright? Cool. Awesome. Several weeks into the campaign, he joined us for drinks at a local bar. I have nothing against that, and will never ostracize somebody just for showing an interest in me. Not ever. Outside of his creepy behaviour, he seemed like a chill guy, and not every guy knows how to speak to a woman, and that's not a crime. Good. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you very much for saying that. Yeah, it's not. Not every guy knows how to speak to a woman. Some guys will approach you and will seem awkward and will maybe, you know, set your alarm bells off, but they're harmless. They simply don't know how to talk to women, and that's not a crime. Thank you for saying that. Like, because a lot of guys are like, "Oh my god, what a creepo," and it's like, no, it's like you can act creepy but just not know how to speak to women. That's fine, you know. And I wish more people would get with that program, and not so much like just give you a chance anyway, but at least, you know, think this guy isn't a creep. He just doesn't know how to speak to me. He's a bit nervous. That's fine, and they walk away. You know, no problem with that. Anyway, a lot of guys will take that on board. Do you know what I mean? They will take that a lot more. Like if a guy approaches a woman and she's not interested in him, and she says, "Look, he just seems really awkward. He's not used to talking to girls." And that's fine. I'm not feeling a spark there. A lot of guys will go, "Do you know what? I'll take that on the chin," and they'll get on with their day, and it won't affect them. But the minute you say to a guy he's creepy for no reason, do you know what I mean? Because of the vibe he's giving off, that's when it starts to really affect him and affect his self-confidence. Anyway. That's not a crime. No, it isn't. Him trying to touch me up over the evening and on the dance floor, however, is. Yeah. Copping a feel, I see. I kept this from the other guys in the group as I didn't want them getting in his face and ruining the evening. And to be honest, I was handling it fine and we still needed somewhere to play our hobby. We have nowhere else in the local area to play. We have this Games Workshop and that's it. So, I just grinned and bared it and pushed him off every single time he got a bit too handsy. I just shoved him away and rebuffed all of his advances. Eventually, he just came to the bar whilst I was ordering a drink and asked if I'd like to go to another bar with him that night, and I said no, that I was having fun there and he should stay and chill with us at the bar. It was an amazing place, kind of a mix between a rock club and a saloon bar with 2 floors. We were on a different floor to the guys, but hey, the staff there were awesome and I knew them all quite well. I was safe as houses. He put his arm around me and tried to make his move, and I finally pulled back. I told him in no uncertain terms that I'd seen his intentions that night and I was flattered, but I wanted every guy at the store to be a friend at most and that's it. I didn't want to muddy any waters when it comes to my hobby. That's fair enough. That is the best put down you're going to get. The best letdown you're going to get in the hobby is that, listen man, I just want to do this for a hobby. I don't want to muddy the waters. Let's say we date and it doesn't go very well. I now can't come back to the store. Do you know what I mean? So there, you know. That I respect. That's a really good way of letting somebody down gently. In reality, he'd already done several things that rubbed me the wrong way. Not literally. And his personality was not one that I'd go for, as he'd already showed. He was a bit of an arrogant corporate body. Imagine Dwight from The Office, but he looks and acts like a normal dude, just with a fake smile that never really reaches his eyes. He took this quite well, and we went on with the night. Okay, that's cool. Then came the next Thursday campaign evening at the store. I got there, and the guys told me they had been told by James that they were no longer welcome as he didn't allow games to be played in the store anymore. I headed in and asked him what the hell was up, and he had a look of triumph on his face. It was weird. He told me corporate had told him not to allow any games in the store, and he was happy to oblige. He told me that me and my friends could come in and browse or buy models. We could even paint if we booked a slot, but could not game any more at the store. We'd need to, and I quote, find somewhere else to squat. Wow. Whoa. He took that much worse than you thought he took it. Yeah. He took that in a very bad way. As a Games Workshop manager, if corporate tell you to not play games in the store, there are loads of ways to get around it. Loads of ways. He was butthurt. That's what this is. And he doesn't want you around this place of business anymore as a reminder that somebody rejected him. That's what's going on. I flat out asked him there and then, and I quote, "Is this about the other night?" Unquote. Oh, I thought you'd just walk. Oh my god. His face went white, then red. His blood was boiling, and I was rapidly regretting even bringing it up. "How dare you," he said. "I'm just doing my job," he yelled at me. I held my hands up and apologised, and told him we'd just find somewhere else to play, and that it was nice knowing him before leaving. I know you're going to be pissed, but what else could I have done? Yeah, I'm not really that annoyed, because, again, it's his store, man. And yeah, his cards are on the table. You're not going to win him round. And the only way you can win him round is by sidling up to him and using, and manipulating him, and that's not something that would, a nice person would do. So the only recourse you've got as a good person is to walk away, and that's what he did. That was it. Our only place to play in my area was down the drain, and then the pandemic hit. Oh no. A campaign that I'd run for several years was dead in the water. The only bright side was that my Tyranids were devouring the entire world at the time of the campaign's ending, so I won. But hey. We went on to do a few more campaigns after that, all of them smaller in scope as the guys had families and other things to be getting on with. I threw myself into work and eventually started my own YouTube channel over the pandemic that kind of blew up. I then went on to join another channel later on, but still kept my original channel as something to upload my own things to. Okay, that's cool. I'd love to have what they have one day, as in my friends who have families and spouses and stuff, but until then, I have my plastic bugs and my cats. Love all you do, Alice. Cheers, Alice. That's cool. I love that. It's got your cats and your Tyranids. You don't need anything else. That's fine. You know, way to live up to the stereotype. You go. You live up to that stereotype. No problem. Hope it all works out for you. Anyway, I hope you find somebody and hope, like, you know, YouTube channel does well. And yeah, if you know people, send some subscribers my way. I'm nearly at 15,000 subscribers. I'm almost there. Anyway, I love you all long time. I will speak to you tomorrow. We are doing a big old rant tomorrow. What did I have in my planned schedule for tomorrow? Let me have a little look here. What did I have on my schedule? Oh yeah, the HRUD are tomorrow. 40K's next army. Why it makes sense. I did one for the Interx the other day. Why would the HRUD, make sense as an army in Warhammer 40,000? Let's get in there, shall we? Love you all long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow where we will discuss the HRUD. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye now.